Oh, perfect. All right. Okay. Perfect. All right. So you all are my most important students because you're the extensive support need cadre, right? And tell me a little about where you're teaching or if you're in the classroom right now, because that'll definitely help me know some of the support I need to give you for your assignments. So if you want to just kind of introduce yourself, I'm Dr. Backrack. I've been at APU for 8 years, and my first love was the population that you are serving and teaching right now, or will be in the future. Did it for quite a while. Way back in the dark ages, you had to get your multiple subject credential first. So, but I did that knowing I was just wanting to teach the extensive support needs population, and then went back and did gen ed and then mild mod, but that was my first love. So, and still is. And then I did work with adults in that same population group, and that was really fun because then you don't have to worry about standards and stuff. You get to do what work and life skills and stuff like that they want to do because they're living in their own place, or they're dating, or they're doing all kinds of cool stuff. So that was really, really fun. You get to see the end goal of some of the work that you all have done already. So it was neat. But okay, so tell me a little about yourself and where you are. Obviously, you're in the middle of your credential program, but if you're an intern, if you're been a paraprofessional for a while, and then maybe the age group that you are working with or have access to. All right. So Veronica, do you want to start? And then you can pass to someone else.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start. I'm Veronica Flores. Just up to recently, 2 weeks ago, I was an instructional aide for adult transition. I had been there for 6 years, and I got hired on for an intern position now at my district for high school.
Okay.
Severe SCC class, yeah, for high school. So this is my second week there.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So yeah, thrown in.
Thrown in, and I have an IEP next week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you do an IEP?
Yeah. So someone should be walking that through with you. Someone who knows how should help with all that. So remind them if they don't give you.
I have.
Because like I haven't had that class yet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, congratulations on your new job. What district are you in?
Baldwin Park Unified.
Okay. I've heard good things about that district.
Yeah, I've
So,
been there for 10 years. So I started off in Severe Middle School. I
okay.
did middle school for 4 years, and then I was at the adult transition for the last 6. And now I'm at the high school.
Adult transition's so fun.
Yeah, really fun. I liked it there a lot.
Yeah, I was there quite a while. So love that. Okay, so great. Well, welcome. And yeah, you'll get to do one of the main tasks of this course. Those your assignment's going to really help you with your IEP and with getting to know your students. So
Okay.
I think it'll be great for you. And work at the same time.
Yeah.
So pick someone you'd like to go next.
I'll pick Roger.
Okay, Roger.
So what is the question again? Or what are
So
we answering?
introduce yourself, and are you teaching paraprofessional? Are you in a classroom yet? Prior experience, that kind of thing.
Okay. Hi, my name is Roger Powell. I've been an instructional assistant for the last 13 years for children with moderate to severe disabilities. Today was my last day, and I got an internship as well. I start on April 1st. I'll be teaching TK through 2nd, mod severe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So wait, you have a little break, April 1st, because
We are going on spring break. So today
Oh,
was our last day, and then we're on spring break, and then when we come back, I start.
okay. All right. Anyone else doing spring break like right now? Yes, no. Okay. All right. So one of the things is you pick a focus student and you get to know them. And so really quickly we do that, but we may have to extend the dates if we're on spring break when we go into this. Then, and if it's a new class for you, that's like, okay, you know, I don't know anybody. How do I get records or how do I
Yeah.
get stuff? So, all right, we'll flex. That's not a problem. All right, pick someone to go next. 13
I'll
years.
pick Brittany.
All right, Brittany.
Roger, quick question. Did you mention which district?
Oh, I'm at the Moreno Valley Unified School District.
Moreno Valley?
Yes.
Nice. Okay. I know I was so interested in TK kinder position as well, but yeah, I recently just had an interview as well, and I approved the formal application that they sent me and offered me. So it's for middle school, not TK or kinder, what I was wanting, but it's okay. Middle school's just fine. I'm not sure exactly when I'll be in the class just yet because I need to schedule a date where I can bring all my documents and sign all the paperwork, and they'll go over like the salary with me. And then, yeah, go from there. But I've been a resident sub for 3 years. I worked at Upland Unified, and currently I'm at OMSD, and pretty soon I'll be at Fontana Unified. But yes, Severe as well.
Awesome. Okay, middle school. And don't know when your break is or when you'll start. So, yeah. Okay.
They're on spring break right now.
Okay,
yeah.
good. So you won't
But-
have to wait.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
at OMSD, where I'm at right now, they are going to go on spring break next week.
Okay. Okay. So you're gonna pick a focus student and it's gonna be more helpful if it's in your new class.
Yes.
So we'll have to just wait a little bit on that. All right. Okay. So how do you say your name?
Chloe.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Before I start, congratulations to all three of you.
I know. They're great.
Together. So my name is Cloris Turner. I currently work for Locking Out and Unified as a substitute. I worked for that district as a para 1 for over 5 years, and this school year transitioned into the subbing role. Last, we'll say fall, all the way up until winter break, I basically was the teacher for the primary SDC class. We just didn't get to, we were right on the cusp of becoming, working out, what do you call it? The intern, the long-term sub.
Yeah.
Then the teacher came back, but I was able to stay, and it was kind of like a co-teaching situation. So it worked out very well for me and for her as well. I have access to primary and upper SDC going to 6th grade. What else is there? I also,
Are you doing day-to-day assignments right now?
yes.
Okay.
So before we went on winter break, I was there every day
Yeah.
there. And then now, since that assignment is over, now it's kind of back to day.
Okay.
And they go on spring break in the first week of April.
Okay. All right. See, everyone's all over the place. It's really funny. Okay. So let me go over the course assignments with you, and then you can ask questions all along, you know, as we're talking. Don't hesitate to just unmic or unmute yourself and chat about it. Okay. So I want to make sure it's nice and clear. Let me go back to my right screen, cancel that one. Oops. Okay. All right, let's get up here. Now I got to get back. All right. Okay, so it should be, can you see my screen now? All right, good. All right, so actually I need to change this because some of you had said it's instructional methods for students with mod severe disabilities, but we're not using that term anymore, although that's what you've used for a long time, right? So it is students with extensive support needs. So you'll hear it, I'm sure, at your districts. They may not even have changed the titles yet, but Your credential will be in extensive support needs, just language change a little bit. Okay. And so we've done a little bit of introductions. Today I'm going to pray with you really briefly, but then also talk about the course and the major assignments in the course, and then engage in the week 1 discussion if y'all are ready for that. So we'll get there when we get there. I think it's a pretty easy discussion actually today. All right, so this course is designed to help you understand kind of the whole person, including the family a little bit, and students who have diverse backgrounds, maybe culturally, linguistically, but also every family is unique. We're going to use a person-centered approach. Anyone heard of person-centered planning? Is that familiar? All right. So it's often done in transition or adult services, as part of an individual's what they call an IPP. Most of our students are part of the regional center system and get support. Maybe a little bit of support when they're little, but lots of support when they get bigger and out of school. And they definitely use a person-centered approach to collaborating to develop an IEP, to understand our students. Many times our students don't have a strong voice of their own or traditional language communication ability. And so we need to be very deliberate about getting information about them and understanding sort of what makes them tick, what their likes, dislikes are, what their fears might be, what they're really great at, and use those to the student's best advantage. So we're also going to talk about evidence-based practices and strategies for instruction in all the action in the academic areas, as well as the life skills and some really practical things like handling someone's healthcare needs and that kind of thing as well. So it's a really broad course, in the sense that we're going to cover a lot of topics in 8 weeks. Unfortunately, we don't get to dig really deeply, but your textbook does help you to gain some of the information. And I hope you kind of keep the textbook or keep access to it to go back to, because you'll probably see that the group that you're with now might be really different than the group that you have next year or the following year. One, SDC class is very different than the next one. You could be working with students who are medically fragile, all the way up to students who don't have any physical challenges at all. Maybe they have autism and they have more behavioral challenges, or they have less academic challenges, maybe more academic challenges. So it's a really varied group, but so we're going to kind of delve into all of those. And we're going to look at various models, including co-teaching, inclusion, talk about community-based instruction, and also identify what should be our expectations for the student's future adult life. Sometimes when they're TK and you see them and parents are just getting into routines, and so it's really hard for them to think about their child, or it's scary for them to think about their child's adult life and what that will look like. But they do need to understand right from the get-go the supports that are available to make sure that their son or daughter lives a very full and typical life, like everybody, no matter the supports, can live in their own home, can work in some capacity, can have an active community life, with support, not alone necessarily, but with support. So anyway, that's kind of the philosophy of the class and some of the things that we're going to be chatting about. I do like this class because it's kind of designed around just a couple of assignments so that you're building. So we will have weekly Zoom session and a discussion that will go on. Now, thank you for being flexible and meeting with me on a Friday. I wasn't here on Tuesday. I was on a train, so that's not going to work really well. But we will normally meet on Tuesdays from 4:30 to probably 5:30 or 6 at the, 4:45 to 6:15, depending on how long the discussion or how many questions y'all have. But does that all work for you? Okay, all right, perfect. And then, so those discussions, participation in the Zoom course, and those discussions, of course, are your participation and part of your grade. You have something called an individual induction plan. Have any of you heard about induction? Do you know what that is? No, okay. So California loves to make sure that the teachers are supported. So even after you leave APU and you're a brand new teacher, fully credentialed, but with your preliminary credential, you have support from your district during what they call the induction period, where you're continuing to learn and grow. And so you start this plan at APU, but then you take it into your new position once you have your preliminary credential, and they keep working on goals with you. So this is just making sure we have it, we started it. It's very easy. It's just a form that you're going to fill out. Brittany, go ahead.
Yes, quick question. Can you still enter an induction program if you don't pass the TPAs 1 and 2 or the RICA?
No. You have induction starts after you have got your preliminary credential, and you can't get your preliminary credential until you have those assessments completed. So until then, the support comes from your mentor at the school, because you're an intern, that's a little different. They're supporting you early, and APU. So most of you, if you are an intern, then you're also you're in the SPED500 class, and you're getting support to learn about things a little earlier as we go. So then once that's all done, you still get support through induction. Does that answer your question, Brittany? Okay. All right, so we have a signature assignment, which you're going to develop a person-centered plan. And there's a template for this plan, and you get to turn in parts of it every week. You're working on, sorry about that. Every time I talk with my hands, for some reason, it gives me weird signs. So I don't know how to turn it off. My daughter, we keep trying to figure out. Anyway, I'll try not to talk with my hands so that it doesn't do that. So each week you'll turn something in. Feedback will be given for that section, but it won't necessarily be rescored, but you can include more information for your final version of it. Your final submission is due. And you'll notice that's 54 points for this course. So those weekly sections of this signature assignment, and then the final is your big assignment, really, for this course. And then you're going to be presenting it at the very end, introducing us to your student and the plans that you've developed for them. Common Core connectors, and looking at universal design for learning lessons that have been developed. So that's a quick assignment. That's not very deep. Okay. So we'll delve into the signature assignment a little bit more in just a minute, so you can understand what you're going to be doing by when, and if we need to adjust the dates because of your new starting positions, we can. Because the APU policy is very strict on late. And so we have to follow this policy. It shouldn't be new to you, but if you're not able to complete an assignment on time, contact me right away. There really aren't any excused absences or excused lates at APU, but unless there's, like a huge emergency, then there is some grace, but it's not like, oh, I have an IEP and I don't know how to do it, or I'm under, I'm an intern and it's so hard I can't get things done. That wouldn't be considered something that's an emergency. It'd be more like a death, or you got COVID, or something like that. But Anyway, if it's late, then it's a 25% deduction of the points. If it's within the week, more than that, it's 50. And after 2 weeks late or 14 days late, it's not accepted at all. Since we're having our discussion in person most of the time, if in absence, if you're not here, you can't really make that up. And if you're, doing a group assignment, which is really just the discussions, you can't make those up either. So be careful about the tardies. And I know how hard it is to be an intern brand new and be doing, this is your second class, right? You're doing, you're doing a master's course, correct? Some of you, yes, I recognize a master's course as well as this one and possibly SPED500. So yeah, so it's kind of a bit. So here's your signature assignment. This should help because it's just one thing that you're working on. You get to know a student with extensive support needs by looking at their data, so their records. You're going to pick one focus student, and all of this assignment is on that one student. So those of you who are just starting, that your first task will be to identify a child that you want to get to know, and hint, it is helpful for IEP development. Maybe not the person who has an IEP the next week, because this will take longer than a week to do. But if you have one that's coming up in the next month or two, this would be a helpful process. And you can kind of kill two birds with one stone, kind of develop the IEP and develop this plan at the same time would be good. So, but Clarissa, since you don't have a classroom that's ongoing, we'll have to think through, do you have access to a student who falls into this category? It could be, doesn't have to be someone you're teaching. It can be someone someone at church, someone you worked with in the past, that you can walk through this process with.
I have at the elementary school that I was based out of, I have access to both SDC classes.
Okay.
We have 2nd through 3rd in one, and then 4th through 6th in the other.
Okay, great. So it's really more having access to their records and having access to their family, because you're going to be doing an interview with the family who knows them, or someone in the family who knows them really well. Okay, so and you'll be working on these little parts as we go along, but the family interview is a big part of it, because that's where you're going to get like their priorities, what are their strengths, how do they communicate at home, those kind of things. And then you're going to be developing goals for the student, and sort of instructional plan and data collection tools that student can use. Now, they don't have to use them if you're not the teacher of record. Then this is just a plan that the family can have access to, might be helpful for them, or you could share with a teacher, but it doesn't have to be implemented. You're developing this plan. But if you are the teacher of record, then you will probably implement it, because these are your ideas anyway. And let's see. Okay, so the first part is due week 2. So that's a week from Sunday. So this is that you have selected your student by then. So for some of you, that might be a challenge. You will need access to school records and be able to meet with the student parent, not by week 2. You just have to identify, I have a kid that I'm going to be working with, and I have some basic information about that child. So this is the information you need to have by week 2 to be on target. And, we'll see if y'all start in time. So name, age, you're going to use a pseudonym, obviously, grade, how they qualify. So that would come from an IEP. So once you get IEPs, you'll have all of this information actually. The school environment, that just means that if they're in an SDC class, if they're ever mainstreamed out, what percentage of the time they might be mainstreamed out or included in another class. If they get speech or whatever therapies, that's also will be in the IEP. The level of communication, That's just, are they using traditional verbal communication? Do they have communication advice? Is it yes, no responses? How do they communicate? And that again is in a pretty general sense. So altogether, this is going to be 3 or 4 sentences. And their general academic level that could be found in the IEP in the section that's the present level section. So do they have any literacy skills? Is there a grade level? What is their ELD level if they've been assessed with an alternative assessment? What do they understand about math? But just really general. We're going to get into more specifics later. But this is just, they're a couple grade levels behind. They're in first grade, but they don't know their letters yet or sounds yet, or they're not verbal yet. Whatever I want to just get a general image of the person in my mind. Okay. Do week 2. Questions about that? All right. Then week 3, you're going to review.
Sorry, Professor, I have a quick
Go ahead.
question.
Okay.
I might need an extension on that one.
Yeah. Gotcha. Because you haven't started yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as soon as you start, if you feel like you're going to need an extension because you don't have a student yet, email me and then let me know when you've started. So once you have access to students and to their student record, we can begin this. But we might end up, what might happen is we roll that into this next assignment, which is due week 3, right? Which is a review of the record, because they're basically the same thing. I just want to know that you have a student in mind. If you can do it, but we will definitely do extensions given your new start dates and all. So don't worry. Okay. That will not be one of those late things. Just email me so I can put in the date that you expect that you'll have access, okay, to students. And then by week 4, you're going to be setting up an interview with a family member. And so if you're a new teacher, it may feel like, oh my gosh, now I'm just like right out of the gate going to be asking the family to meet with them or to have a conversation with them. And to be honest with you, I think that's great that you're just brand new, but you're also communicating to the family. I want to get to know your child really well. When I was a teacher, I did this with all of my students and met with the families in their home. Now, if you're able to do that, and that wasn't a policy problem, and most of our families are used to people coming into their home because behavior therapists come in, occupational therapists come into the home, and when they're little and then on up. So they usually shouldn't have a problem with that. But if you can't, then you meet at school or it's definitely better to not do it over the phone. But meeting the family in the home over and doing this interview has been so helpful to me in my past with all my students. Because part of this is relationship building. It's gathering information, but it's also communicating that you want to know their child deeply from the whole person and what their priorities are. And then based on those priorities and the students, kind of where they are academically and in life skill things, then you're going to set some goals for that student. That's due week 5. And of course, we're going to talk about this as we get there, but I just want to give you the overview. And then you're going to develop an instructional plan on what instructional strategies would you use to meet the students' goals, what adaptive materials might you use or technology, and then you're going to be creating something to collect the data, because you're going to be doing progress summaries with the student in the future. Unless it's not your student, then you won't be, but you'll need to know how to develop data collection tools so that when it comes time to report on how they're doing, you have that data. And then we're going to consider a recommendation on how you might foster greater inclusion for that student. Okay. And those are all the parts. So you're basically responding to some prompts in a template that I'm going to give you. And then the final thing is turned in for another set of points. Okay. Yeah, I think this is our prompt question, I believe. So we'll wait on that. Any questions about that signature assignment? Okay, let me go into assignments and you'll see the template here. Let's just make sure it's all there. The very first one, here is the template that you're going to use, and you're just going to keep adding to this template the whole time. So obviously you need to make a copy. So we're all writing on the same one. Go ahead and make the copy. Where'd it go? Oh, it's thinking. Being slow. There it is. Okay. So you'll eventually put in the person's name, or not their actual name, a pseudonym, your name. And then this is the part that's turned in week 1 or week 2, if we're on target. And then this is the next section after you're looking at their IEPs, their psych evals, and whatever information you have that's just written, all right, about them, and kind of keep building this document. It looks long, it's not as long. It is kind of long, but it's not terrible. It's just got lots of boxes, so it's long. Okay. And then here's where you're going to develop the goals for your student. And then your instructional plan and your recommendation for inclusion. So what I'd recommend is create this and leave it in Google Docs, because then I can make comments right in Google Docs. You can fix it or adjust it. Show me how it's been changed for the final version of it. But it's this is your signature assignment, filling in this template. Okay. Let me go back. I missed it. All right. So that's it. Okay. And then you just, you can upload the link or the document if you prefer to work in Word, either one, doesn't matter. Okay. Your discussion this week is coming out of your textbook. Does everyone have the text, and were you able to read the first chapter of the text? Okay. So for the discussion, what I do is I'll record it. If you go into breakout rooms, actually we probably won't, because there's such a small group. I'll just have you have a discussion as a whole group and answer the prompts in the discussion. It will be recorded, and I will use that for grading purposes. I don't remember if there's a rubric. I think there is a rubric for this. I'll look back as you guys have your discussion. But what I'm looking for here is that you come prepared with the reading done, that you've considered the prompts ahead of time, but you kind of pulling in the reading. Part of the idea is that, you know, you're justifying not just your experiences, but that you've interacted with the text. So this first week, it's not so much. Some of it's asking about your own personal experiences. There was a little video. I don't know if you've been able to see that on partial participation. Did anyone see that already, or was it addressed in the book? I'm not seeing it.
Was it the video with while they were at PE?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. That was one of them, right? And so since since it's the first week, I'll kind of define partial participation a little bit for you. And then just to get us set up on that. So partial participation is basically the idea that the student can participate in any activity to the best extent that they can. And they don't have to be excluded because they can't do every step of the task, right? They can't do it independently. A lot of our students may not be able to yet do everything independently, or maybe based on their physical or health situation, they might never be able to do a task completely independently. but we want them to participate to the greatest extent possible. And I can think of a zillion examples of that. And I'll give you one. So my friend Nola, she was also someone I worked with. She was a transition student, but then I worked with her in adulthood as well. So she actually became kind of a friend of mine. But she has cerebral palsy and she uses a wheelchair. She has limited use of her hands, and her speech is difficult to understand until you get to know her. And then even then, she sometimes has to type it out so that if I miss it, I'll just say, I'm not getting this. Can you type it out? And she'll type out the word close enough that I get it, then. But so she realized she lives in her own place, but she relies heavily on physical assistance from personal assistants, right? Someone who comes into the home. So she can't dress herself. That isn't something that she can do, but she still participates in dressing herself by picking out her clothes, by indicating what she wants to wear, what kind of clothing for weather it would be, like raising her hands, because that's really great. Also physical thing that she needs to do, but she's part of the process. She's part of everything that she does, whether that's directing the personal assistant or physically participating in part of it. That makes sense for her. So cleaning, she's going to be directing what needs to be cleaned on what day, even though she physically can't do it herself. Or she could participate in, setting the timer for her coffee by using a switch. Those are some examples of partial participation, thinking of what part of this task can she do with adaptations or direct. Sorry, I have a tickle. So with that, I'm gonna let you all talk about this and sign off and keep the recording going. I'm gonna go get some water and let you talk about these 3 questions that are on the screen. All right. All right. Should I keep sharing, or I'm gonna stop sharing so you can talk to each other? I'm gonna cry. There are in Canvas. Okay, and I will be right back. I'm listening in, but I'm gonna not try to talk.
I'll start us off, but let me pull up the questions in Canvas quickly. Okay, for the first question, what has been your experience, observations, or beliefs related to inclusion? Well, working in, say, like in the elementary setting, I see inclusion as in like mainstreaming, where typically the SDC students push into all of the specials, so art, music, STEM class, and then also for PE, they all come in together. I would say that when it comes to inclusion, I think it depends on what type of teacher or what type of gen ed teacher they have, and their willingness, their openness, and really like vulnerability to be like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Let me talk to somebody else to figure this out so that I can better serve this student. But it's different for each teacher that I've seen. Some good, some bad though. Does anybody want to, do we want to do question by question, or we want to go straight through?
I mean, I can add to it. My experience with inclusion is I'm all about it. During April, for Autism Awareness Month, I usually give a presentation to gen ed students so they understand what autism is or how to interact with people who have intellectual disabilities. So then we follow that up with lunchtime activities. So we bring the special ed kids out, and at lunchtime we do like a fun activity where they can start interacting with general ed kids so they learn how to make that connection and friendships and stuff. And I even started a club where every on lunch periods they come and I had an Xbox donated to our classroom so they can come and play Xbox together and just start building those relationships and not be so uncomfortable with people who have disabilities. But like you said, like teachers have to be open and willing to be like, I don't understand this, or I don't know how to teach someone with these disabilities, and be vulnerable and open to collaborating with other people who do.
I love all your contributions you've made at your school. That's very impactful. I would love to create a PowerPoint and do that one day too for
I
Janet.
did it in the middle school, so like if you're going into middle school, you could do that stuff too.
Yeah, I'd love to definitely because you know, they're all going through changes and sometimes they're not the nicest. So
Yeah.
I would like to bring awareness about that too. But to go back to the question, how I've seen this would also be in PE. I haven't really witnessed firsthand mainstreaming. Um, Actually, wait, yeah, I have at the previous school I worked at, but they weren't really doing what the other kids were doing. This was like fifth and sixth graders. They're at their own little table and they're just drawing and scribbling. Um, I guess that is still part of it since they're listening to the lecture also while getting to actively draw and such. But yeah, my experience, I do like seeing teachers that are open-minded and willing to help contribute to change. Um, Very few of them are. I know what I've seen before is like reader buddies, and I love that so much. That is something I would definitely want to do eventually with general ed kids. But one thing to mention about that, where I really love your perspective and what you would do and what you do, is that when I did witness reader buddies, I remember seeing some kids kind of like, you know, like shy away and want to be a little distant from them. And I was kind of like, why? Like, yeah, they're stimming, but they're still listening. You can still read and show them the pictures.
Yeah.
So definitely presentations like that do help a lot.
I think maybe presentations with teachers as well, because like I'm the teacher that I've worked with, the SDC teacher that I've worked with for quite a while. She used to be the RSP teacher, and there was this student. He's in 7th grade now, but during 6th grade there was a lot of problems because so he has autism, but he's like a genius. And so the problem is not doing the work, but sometimes he needed to go and play with like a Rubik's Cube or have a fidget spinner or something to regulate himself. And then he can get back to like his academic task. But the teachers, his 6th grade teachers, were not, they were like set in their ways, like, no, he can do this work, he needs to stay in here and get to doing all of these things. And the RSP teacher's like, he works better, he's telling you he needs a break, these are the ways he's telling you that he needs a break, you're not respecting that. But once you see that after he has this break here, he's all in. But they never would come around to that idea. So his whole 6th grade year was kind of difficult for him. And then he now has a disdain for school. Like, I don't want to be here. Nobody's listening to me. Like, and I already know all this information.
I was asked to do the presentation for staff, teachers especially, and they did not receive it well. Just because they were like, you don't have a credential. Who are you to tell me how to teach my class? And I'm like, I'm not here to tell you how to teach. I'm just telling you, like, kids are all different. And if you want to reach this kid who's in your class that you're responsible for teaching, you might want to adapt these strategies that we use. But sometimes the label, I think, just influences the teacher to be like, well, if they have a label, then they shouldn't be here. They should be in a special ed class. And that's not inclusion, especially now since the rate of how many kids have disabilities is going up every year almost. It seems like we're gonna come in contact with people with disabilities. So we should be inclusive. We should learn how to accommodate and give breaks. And I know teachers don't like for the teachers that I work with, they don't like giving breaks, or they don't like the focus not being on academics, where they kind of have to focus on behavior too. But it's like, if you get the behavior under control, you can focus on academics.
I was gonna add, my experience at the middle school for the inclusion, it was pretty much only PE. And even when the students went to PE, they weren't interacting with the general ed students. There was the aides, we were walking with them, the teachers on the side, and they just had their students do something. But our kids were still by themselves. They weren't really included, but they were in a general ed PE class. At the adult transition, since it's different, they're adults now. We don't have anywhere where they mainstream to. But here, the last 2 weeks I've been at this high school, what I really like that I've seen, they have a program called Renaissance. So it's a group of students they interview and they get picked. So they come every other Thursday, they come into our classrooms and they play games with the students. So they have that connection, they interact. And I took one kid to go take his ID picture. We're walking and he sees other kids. They're like, "What's up, Robert?" Like, it was so good to see like how they were just saying hi to him. So they are building that connection. So I like that. And then every Friday, they have another program called PALS, and they go to their classroom and they do some activities with them as well. So they do have that. And we do have kids mainstreaming into choir, drama class, and they have a drone class. So we have one student in drone class as well. So I think that's pretty cool because I hadn't seen that in the time I've been there. So I'm like, oh, this is really cool, this school, that they're doing that.
Yeah, and to add to what you were saying, Roger, yeah, it really ticks me off when I go into a class, even if it's a general ed class, and I don't see a calm down corner. Or like I'm subbing and I'm like, okay, where's the calm down corner? What do you mean you guys don't have a calm down corner? Who's your teacher? Like, you need a calm down corner, whether it's gen ed or SPED. Like, there's behaviors, and not every kid is perfect.
Mhm.
Especially if you're working in a like Title I school, you do see that there's more support that is needed.
Mhm.
And teachers who are against calm down corners, they're usually veteran, they've been there for years. That's where I think things need to change, like seriously.
Yeah, I
Like
think it's a mentality thing.
yeah, it's not the kid's fault. It's you don't have a bad kid, they just need some help or a break. Like give
Yeah.
the kid a break if they need one, seriously.
So my question to that would be, how, say we're going into someone else's classroom, say as a sub, and we see a student or we see multiple students, and whether they have a disability or not, how can we incorporate those breaks in? So do we can stop it and we'll be like, all right, let's pause for a minute. We've been working hard. Let's take a mini break. Go ahead and let's stretch. We can do a like a game pop or brain pop, something like that. So I think for us as like new teachers, being able to think quickly and be creative, and try to think outside of the box will be helpful for us, because everything is changing.
Everything.
Yeah.
Well, even in these courses, like, we could utilize those brain breaks.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, everyone stop, drop your pencils or whatever, get up your Chromebooks, and everyone touch your head. Okay, now, and do something silly, and then just like, those can be little breaks. I even used, like, I was doing a RSP class, so I was with a student with autism, but he was in mainstream classes. And I had timers. I was like, okay, give me good work for 5 minutes, and then you get 1 minute break. You can go on your Chromebook and look up trains, or we can go outside for a walk, but you have 1 minute, and then we come back and we work for 5 minutes and do something like that too.
Yeah, I like to do that too. Like the sooner you finish iReady, or like the whole group, if it's general ed, then I'll promise them a brain break and put like freeze dance. This is elementary, so I'll put like freeze dance or the floor's lava for them. But if I do see it's like one particular student, I would let them go off to the side and ask them, do you need 3 minutes or 5? And I'll let them draw or probably use an iPad. Or if I see they need movement, then I'll probably call for a mentor and let them just walk with them for like a lap or so till they're ready to come back. But yeah.
Yeah.
We want to transition to the second question.
Yes.
How can the principle of partial participation be used to aid students in inclusive settings?
May a any type of adaptability to allow them to have a voice in the class.
Choice.
Yeah,
Yeah, give them choices. Mhm.
Now, for say a student, a nonverbal student, or someone who has like multiple disabilities, and so how would you give them a choice? How can we involve them in their academic journey?
You just meet them at their level. Like if they can't speak, maybe they can hold up a card. So if you're asking for
And
like
some
what month
visuals.
is it, they can hold up it's, March. You
yeah.
meet them at their level.
I like to use my hands a lot too. So I like to use like a little bit of ASL, and I'll be like, "What do you want? I want what?" And then I'm always like, "Look at my mouth." What, like, trying to help them understand and, yeah, meet them where they're at. I guess that's where I'm a little bit more aggressive to get them to communicate, whether I'm using ASL or Google Translate because it's a language barrier or whatever. But yeah, choice to communicate.
For your time in the classroom, have you like when working, say as the teacher, and then you have your one-to-one aides, does it sometimes seem like the aide is doing too much for the student, as in like it's limiting what the student can do? And then that's taking away their participation and their voice, sort of, because I think sometimes I feel like we sometimes get so caught up as like, okay, well, we know this student and they wouldn't want this way, they wouldn't want it that way. But at the same time, it's like we still have taken their voice away, because although, yes, we know them, we still don't know what their official answer would be because we haven't even asked them.
Yeah, I have seen that, not in my classroom, but I've seen other classes where we're outside, just simple like for lunch. And instead of having the student walk the line and then they choose, the aide just comes and grabs the food and takes it to them. But it's like, what if they didn't want that, or they don't want that juice? They wanted the chocolate milk, not the white milk. And even feeding, there's a student that you just have to help her, guide her, get the food, and then she can do it. The aide was completely like feeding her in her mouth. So she's taking that away from letting her feed herself because they're worried about if she's going to get dirty, but it's okay. Like, to me, I'm okay if they're getting dirty, but as long as they're practicing that skill, they're doing it. They get to choose what they want to eat or drink, not that you're choosing for them. So I have seen that.
That's a great example of being in a lunchroom. I've
Yep.
seen this, like at the school I'm at, they give you at least two choices, and they just go and pick one. Like, here you go. I'm like, and then a student is just sitting there like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
And
Like,
it's
I wouldn't
also
want that. Like, why shouldn't they have a choice? Or
it's
even
also good
how
practice
someone eats
to
their food or how they take it apart and add that. I've seen aides who are like, no, don't do that. But it's like, why not? That's all. If they want to pull it apart and break it and eat it that way, I feel like it's okay.
I've seen kids who like will squeeze out the whole milk bag
Yep.
and the burger, the ketchup, and I'm like, all right, you do you. If that's how you like
Yeah.
it, good, but I'm not gonna look too messy. But I am definitely a big advocate for them having a choice, especially for
Yes.
food, because personally, I would not like it if someone else chose my own food or milk.
Yep. Mhm.
I could just imagine like the kid already having a meltdown or freaking out and eloping after that.
Mhm.
Well, it's also good practice to like if there's two lunch options and they want a particular lunch option, we'll be like, that's not a choice. These are your two choices. We can't always be afraid of the meltdowns or whatever, because that's life. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's gonna rain and you want a sunny day, but it's cold and you don't want it to be cold, but that's life. You got to deal with it. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's all really important.
Hi everyone, I just joined. I apologize. My laptop is broken and the video won't show, but I have a new laptop and I have to take it to the Geek Squad so they can transfer everything. So hi everybody, how you doing?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Kathleen.
We're just going over the discussion, the week 1 discussion questions.
Nice.
So we talked about what our experiences and our observations and our beliefs are related to inclusion. We just talked about the principle of partial participation, of how it can be used with students in an inclusive setting. So if you have anything to add for those two categories, and then we'll be moving on to, in what ways does a Christian worldview inform your beliefs around inclusive education?
Okay, yeah, we can go ahead and move forward.
Okay.
So, in what ways does a Christian worldview inform your beliefs around inclusive education? That's where I feel like everyone is important and everyone should be included.
Mhm.
That's where I get the more that Christian worldview perspective. Everyone should be loved and shown loved, whether they're able-bodied or disabled body. Because yeah, God loves everyone and he created everyone. So
It reminds me of how in our previous courses, how we always talked about, this question always comes up, being created in God's image.
yes.
And so also treating people how you want to be treated too, like our values from the Christian perspective and everything. How do we show that? And we talked about this in depth in our other courses. We've all been in the same courses together. So I think if we stay along those lines, and we know that it's not an easy task, because there are days when everything is popping off in the classroom and it's chaos all over the place, and it's hard to kind of center yourself. But then it's like, okay, why am I here? What is my main purpose here? Take a deep breath.
Yes.
And try it again the next day, or the next hour or so.
Mhm.
Yeah, those are good points. I love that. I also feel that like the Lord is patient with us. Patience is such an important factor. The classroom next door to me, the teacher needed to, address, because a couple of them, the people would get like frustrated, which is, understandable, but we can never ever yell ever. We just have to have patience. And we had a student last week. I got scratched too, not as bad as everybody else, because I was talking to, because I went next door to help. Because the student had a complete meltdown, but I talked to her very calm. So she barely scratched me, but with all the chaos of everybody else, she got a lot of the others, she scratched the heck out of the others. But when I came in, I talked to her calm and I had patience, and she ended up calming down. So a lot of patience, I feel, just like God has patience with us, we got to have patience with us too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like God is the perfect representation of inclusiveness. Like, we're all sinners, but he still meets us where we're at. He still loves us. He still wants us to treat each other equally, and we treat other people like brothers and sisters.
Yeah, and if you do happen to get bitten, scratched, or
Yeah.
hit, it's important to be forgiving too.
Yes.
Yeah, the next day start new. Don't
Yeah.
hold that, don't punish them and, for anything.
No grudges.
We're starting, it's a new day.
The new day. Yes.
It's hard not to hold grudges when it's gen ed.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not saying hi to you. No way.
Don't mind me unless you're done.
Hi.
Hello.
Do you like to be addressed as Tammy or
Dr. Backrack is
Dr.
fine.
Becker?
Our
Okay, hi, Dr.
protocol
Becker.
made for you. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, hi, Dr.
No
Becker.
problem. No problem. It's nice to see you, or not see you yet, but hear you at least.
Next week.
Good.
Next week, I have to take it to the Geek Squad.
I see. Okay. Let's see. Is there another prompt? Let's see if there's another one today. Nope. I don't know what that is. Oh, that's a different something. Let me see. So I thought there was, maybe I'm thinking of my other class. Let's see if there's
Yes,
another.
in the other class we have 2 prompts. This one I
Just
think is
one this week? Okay. I get them confused as well. good. All right. Kathleen, since you came in late, can you tell us a little about where you are in your, are you teaching? Are you an intern? Are you a paraprofessional?
This is my 4th year teaching. And on mine, it said 5:45. I'm late?
4:45.
No.
Except if you're here for SPED 500, that's
500.
5:40. Yeah,
Oh.
so you're here for SPED 500?
Yes,
Okay, not SPED 527.
correct.
Okay, all right, all right.
So I'm on time?
Okay, then you're early. You're just,
Nice.
yeah, you're just good. Good, because we're gonna
Oh, but
and
can
talk
I?
about SPED 500 now. So
Oh,
you're good.
nice. And in the future, can I log in early? Because everybody
Yeah.
has such awesome things to say, some very good points. Nice, thank you.
Let's see. Okay, then I think we are good for tonight, unless you have other questions for me, or if you're gonna hang around to talk about SPED 500, which is next. We're good. You're welcome to sign on off, and I'll see you Tuesday, which does mean that you have less time to like read and do the stuff. So sorry about that if it comes earlier in the week, but. All right. Okay, so feel free to sign off, and I'm going to switch hats and now talk about SPED 500. So I think that's Veronica and Brittany. Roger, are you in SPED 500?
I don't think so.
Okay. Are you an intern?
Yes.
You just became an intern.
Yeah, yesterday.
Okay, so you probably are going to be in SPED 500.
No.
Did you find out? Because you're kind of in the same boat. What did they say?
Yes, I did. I reached out to my to Wendy Ramsey, my credential analyst, and she said that I would have to have all the paperwork turned in and everything before that. And if it's past the add or drop deadline, then I don't have to add SPED 500. So
Oh,
yeah, most likely I probably won't, only because it is a process, and then I have to apply for the intern credential with the CTC. So,
okay. I
yeah.
see. You might not be until, well, fall, you'll be in clinical practice, right?
Yeah, but I'm talking about right now because it's only
Yeah,
8 weeks. It's very rapid. I don't think
Okay,
it's
so,
process to hire.
yeah. So Roger, you'd be in the same boat probably.
Most
Yeah.
likely.
You may not have to do SPED 500 just because of that technicality, which is not a bad plan. That works. That works. And if you're doing clinical practice, then that takes the place of SPED 500 in fall. So if you're an intern in fall, that's all good too. So yeah. All right. Well, then you don't have to be here. If it turns out later, then we'll catch you up. But otherwise, have a good one. And I will talk to Veronica and Kathleen.
All right, good night.
Bye,
Bye.
Roger. Bye, Brittany.
Bye. All right. So Kathleen, you have been teaching for 4 years. Are you a new intern though?
Yes.
Okay.
Took me a minute to pass those CSATs, dang, but
Okay.
never give up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who were you teaching and where? What grade level? All that.
I teach for San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools, and I teach at a junior high, and they age from, the grades are 7 to 12 plus, ages 12 to 22.
Okay.
And I have 8 students at the moment. I started out with 15 students this year, but they split the classroom, so now I have 8 students.
Okay, you have 8. All right. Okay. And this is mild mod or ESN?
Extensive, yes, ESN.
ESN. Okay, gotcha. All right. Now, you said, is this a new class for you? Or
No.
you had them last year, or you've had them for multiple years?
For the whole 4 years, and then before that, I was a paraeducator.
Okay.
Well, for 15 years, but in this specific class for 6 years, I believe. So this is my
Okay.
10th year in this class.
Wow.
Love
Okay.
it.
And how were you a teacher before becoming an intern? Were you on a long-term sub or what? How did that work?
I met the requirements of my bachelor's and passing the CBEST.
Okay,
And they got me in, and now I'm in.
okay. What was your category? Like,
Then it was moderate to severe, so
okay,
now I'm on the new ones, because I had to be a sub from September of last year to January of this year. And now
okay,
I'm back on track.
gotcha. Okay, I gotcha. Now, have you taken SPED 500 in the past?
No.
No, okay, good. All right, so let me explain the class because it can be confusing for people who are, new to it, because you can take it multiple times. Once you become an intern, you have to have support from APU, and SPED 500 is that support. Unless you're in clinical practice, then you're getting that support through clinical practice.
Okay, I'll be clinical in fall.
In fall, okay, both of you in fall, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
in fall.
So let me share my screen and we'll go over the course just so you can see. Because it's really of a flexible, like a coaching class, it has some required assignments, but you have a lot of flexibility to pick what you want to study and what you want to set your own goals, for example. So let me get out of Cal TPA class and get into your class. So I don't want you to do, it's a 1 unit. I don't want you to do more than you need to do, and I want to support you to meet your goal. Let me go into, that's the one I need. Okay. Kathleen, are you able to see a screen?
Yes, just
Okay.
there's a crack going through the camera. But I have a new laptop, so it is.
Okay, all right, all right, that's fine.
Oh, really quick, our class is gonna be Tuesday?
No, that's the other class.
Oh, got it, okay.
SPED 500 doesn't formally meet. I
Oh.
have office hours on a
Oh.
regular basis. I forgot when they are, but you can, and then it could be designed, individually too. So anytime you have a question, call me or come into office hours, and I will answer it. So it is a credit, no credit class, but I'll warn you, sometimes people think, oh, because it's credit, no credit, they can ignore it, and you can't, because
No.
you don't get credit more than once, then you lose your intern credential. So it's actually a higher stakes than some of your other classes in that regard. And to get credit, you essentially have to have a B- in the class. But it's a super easy class to get credit for as long as you're not turning things in late, because the late policy still applies.
Okay.
What are the requirements? Let's talk about that. So if you're a new intern, the first week's assignment is to do an orientation. And there's a link in there and there's like a little quiz thing and you just upload that you've done it. So you know all the requirements of being an intern. And you only have to do that once. So, my students who have been an intern for a while, they take it once. They don't have to do it this term. They just have to say, I've already done it. But you all are new. So you'll have that assignment that's due by, what is it? The 17th. So by
Sunday.
yeah. So that's your first one. And then you're going to do an individual credential support plan. That is kind of the signature assignment. Let me show you what it is. It's actually asking you to complete a form. It's online where you are setting a goal for yourself. It asks you some questions like how long you've been teaching, if this is your first time through SPED 500. It's pretty fast and easy, but you're setting an overarching goal for yourself to learn something. Maybe if you're a new intern, a lot of times the worry is about writing IEPs, or how do I collaborate with families, or there's a bunch of different modules that you could kind of get ideas from, but you set your own goal with benchmarks. So my are any of you still working on Rika?
Yes, I have 2 more.
Yeah.
Okay, so that might be a great goal, is say I will pass Rika 1, Rika 2, Rika 3. That's probably what I would suggest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that getting that done is great. Or studying for it. There's modules in this class to help you study for Rika and get ready. The other thing I wouldn't recommend it for Veronica, but Kathleen, I did find out that you can begin working on the CalTPA 1
Okay.
early before clinical practice. The only reason I would recommend it is because you're familiar with your students.
Okay.
That CalTPA 1 is something that you're doing one lesson and you're differentiating for 3 different students. And we're
Okay.
just starting it I'm just starting it with a group right now, so we could walk you through that if you wanted to do it. Veronica, since you're brand new to your school, I
Yeah.
think it would be hard. So I'd
Yeah.
recommend
No.
studying for Rika. Or you could set another goal, IEP development, whatever you want. But in here, you're writing by the end of the term, I will have achieved this. And then by week 3, to meet that goal, I'm going to do this. By week 5, I'm going to do this. And then your signature assignment is just reporting at week 3, week 5, week 8, how you've done to meet your goal.
Okay.
That's the signature assignment. All right. So it's, again, very individualized. And based on your goal, I'll recommend different modules to you. Okay. Let me tell you what I mean by that. We'll go back to assignments in a minute. Okay. So there is a faith integration discussion. I think there's one. Yeah, one. That's it. So you do a little reading that's assigned to you. That's due, I don't know, what is that, week 3, whatever. Again, because it's a discussion, don't be late. I think it's worth 5 points, so don't miss it, but it's not hard. Okay. And then you're reporting back how you've done so far in your studying for Rika or working on your CalTPA, whatever your goal is, by week 3. Week 4, you do have to record yourself teaching. And it's just like a 10-15 minute recording. You give me a lesson plan that goes along with it, and then a short clip of you teaching your class. Kathleen, if you do decide to work on CalTPA 1 before clinical practice, just to make it easier in clinical practice, you have to record a video anyway for CalTPA 1. So you could submit that same video for CalTPA and this assignment.
Oh, okay.
You can double dip in this class.
Nice.
And
When
then
you're recording that, are we also showing the students, or it's just?
yes,
Or
you
how do
can.
we-
As long as the students have given permission, like usually the districts all collect at the beginning of the year, general permission to photo or record students. If
Okay.
they have done that, then that's all you need, and just avoid students who say no, they don't want to be,
Okay.
or parents who don't give permission. But nothing special has to be given here, and it's fine if students are in the film. I prefer it because I kind of get to see the whole class. And in clinical practice, you'll have to do it where you're seeing students. CalTPA, they have to see students. So, it's a good way to practice, setting up the camera, knowing how to do it,
Mhm.
For those things. And then you're going to do one learning module. This is due at the very end, due week 8. That supports your goal. So let's look at modules so I can clarify, because this is always a confusion. There's a zillion modules in this class, and I've actually created new modules for people who want, particular thing. So these are all your core assignments that you will turn in. And then, but here are the modules. So if you aren't working on one of those assessments, you can be working on, learning more about universal design, assistive technology, co-teaching. All of these numbered things are a module. So you only have to do one of them. Okay, not all of them, just one. Now, if you're working on Cal TPA 1, then I'd recommend that in order to complete it, you're working through all of these modules and turning in your templates. I give you feedback before you actually submit this thing to be scored by Pearson. It's scored outside of APU. So there is an overview. I think, let's see if there's the videos in here. Yeah. There's an overview recording that talks about Cal TPA, and here's the presentation slides. I'm also giving this overview on Monday live to a group of students who need Cal TPA 1, and then we meet every Monday. So Kathleen, if you want that level of support and you want to do it early, you're welcome to come to the overview and then weekly on Mondays. And that would count for obviously your modules. You'll be doing more than one module, but it also would count toward your intern support lock hours, which we'll talk about next. But any one of these assignments that kind of have the due date of the end of the school term are acceptable for year 1. So Veronica, if you want to do something about RECA, if we go down past Cal TPA, there's some RECA modules that you can do also. All right. So depending on which domain and which tests you want to do, that's available for you. Kathleen, I see that hand.
Hi. Yes. So to join the meeting on Monday, it's the same Zoom site as this?
It is. Yeah. All of my classes are the same. Yep.
Nice. And then at what time?
I can send you, did I send out an announcement? Hold on. Let me see if I sent it in this group or, yeah. So there was an announcement that went out
Okay.
yesterday. Yeah. That shows the weekly sessions. So yeah, just look under announcements. It has the Zoom link, and depending on which Cal TPA you're working on, when we're going to dive into that. So for Cal TPA 1, it's for 4 to 6 this Monday, because we're doing the whole overview.
Okay.
But then after that, it's just 4 to 5 on Mondays.
Thank you.
And of course, if you start that, there's no obligation to go to every one of them, and they will be recorded. So, come in if you can. That will support you well to do Cal TPA 1 ahead of time if you'd like to.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, now we can go back. Where's my class? Okay, oop, not that one. There we go. All right, so any of these, you just have to do one module, okay? But you also have to do this, so of your choice that meets your goal. But you also have to do this module, which if it says required and a due date, you do have to do that module. So supporting students who are culturally and linguistically diverse, that is a requirement of the state of California that you always be getting what they call EL hours, English learner support hours. There's a certain number that you need to get. So if we look at the assignment, see if it's clear. You have the choice. If your district is giving you EL professional development, you can use that. And then all you'd have to do is write a paper kind of saying what you've learned from that in service, district in service. And then, kind of, there's some questions that you answer. What did you learn from it? How will you implement it? Etc. Okay. If you're working on Cal TPA, this is the option that you could do. Part of Cal TPA is planning to differentiate for an ELD student. So if you submit Cal TPA, it also counts for this. So you can look at that. And if you're working, some of my students are still working on Cal TPA 2, that's their option. So, or you can review any of these resources to support your learning. Okay. So let's say your district isn't giving you an ELD course. or in service, then you can use the first term. I would recommend working through these ELD resources. If you have to take it a second, third, fourth term, there's additional resources, but you look at these and you respond to the prompt, which is basically says, you know, how are you going to use it? What did you learn? That kind of thing. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So that's one. And I think that might be all. Hope. Oh, we do have to talk about the intern support log. This is, you'll notice, is 0 points, but it goes to the intern coordinator, and it's a state requirement. The log is here. All the forms are here that you need, and you have to get support from your district of 24 hours of support. So you're documenting how they're helping you. Anytime you meet with a mentor, someone walks through the IEP process with you, your boss comes in and gives you some tips, you go to an in-service or anything, you're going to document all of that on this log. And then I'm going to support you 12 hours through this course, or if you come to the Cal CPA workshops, those would be counted as well. And then either through APU or your school district, you need to do EL hours of 11. So that can be working through that module I just showed you, or it can be, you know, the district support that you get, as long as it adds up to this many hours. And this is the form, I think it's the form, let's see, that you're going to fill out. If you download it, you're able to fill it out. I did include an example one for you to see how you fill it out. So you're going to indicate if it's EL hours, general support hours. So if you completed the module, then you can count that as 11. Goal set. These are things that I'm supporting you with. Goal setting. Okay. Let me go back. And then you're reporting on how you met your goal, or if you didn't meet your goal, what happened there. And that's it. So a lot of goal setting, one module of your choice, one ELD module, and teaching video, and your intern support log. So those are the required courses or required assignments. Shouldn't be too bad. And if you get confused, I'm available anytime. Just text me. I'm meeting most afternoons with somebody, but respond to email pretty quickly too. So, right? Question?
No, I was giving a thumbs up. Sorry.
That's good.
Happy thoughts.
Good. Anything I can help answer? I know that starting something new is always exciting and challenging, but you'll do fine. And if you need resources like, oh my gosh, there's no curriculum in this class, or I don't know what to do with this or whatever, you know, I'm your coach. So, and you should have someone at your school too, but you can actually, you know, ask me questions. I have some resources and things as well. So I'm here to support you through this class. Should be not just busy work, but actually help. That's the goal.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else for the good of the group?
So each one is 12 hours for school or district. Is that correct?
It's I think it's 24 for
24.
your district.
Mhm.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Hours is like 11 or 12. And they can come from district or from me, and then 12 more is from me. And that's every 8 weeks. And you're just documenting. You're gonna be doing more than that.
Oh
trust
yeah.
me. But you know, you're just it's just a chore to document it really. But print out that form. You can do it on, you know, fill it in the PDF or write it in. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
You.
Well, thank you for joining me, and I look forward to working with you, even though we're not meeting regularly. Don't hide or don't, just reach out if you have a question or come on into office hours. I can't remember what I said my office hours for this class are. Hold on, let me see if it says
Okay.
somewhere. Oh, it's probably just as arranged, I think. Yeah, I think it's off. It's on the Zoom link, but as arranged, I believe.
Okay.
I think that's what I did. I might set regular office hours, particularly for some folks who are trying to meet their deadline, but that's not you all yet. So you're in a good position.
Yeah.
All right, well, have a good one.
Okay.
And
Have a
I
good evening.
will talk to you later.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
Have a blessed evening.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Bye.
Bye, Kathleen. Bye.